Hi, good morning. Yeah, which is still good morning. Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. Given the renewable whole industry is quite a tricky task, so it's necessarily high level, but I'm more than happy to delve into details in the questions if you have any particular. Uh, and, yeah. Just a bit of orientation who ABHI are. So it is, the Association for HealthTech Industry. We always shorten it to ABHI. It's much less of a mouthful. We are a trade association. We represent over 400 members, covering medical devices, diagnostics, and digital health companies. And about 80% of those are small, medium enterprises. And every sort of technology from a simple bit of plastic tubing through to, the big scanners and stuff that you guys use, or the robotic assisted surgery, etc. And a big increasing chunk in the middle around all sorts of digital health. Particularly when we talk about digital health and AI, radiology is the key area where industry are investing. So this is data from the FDA, and you can see that. So this is a yellow. So telling you, probably my last 27 years period. Radiology has outstripped everything else put together. Obviously, that whole pattern recognition is where AI thrives, and really, the medical application of pattern recognition is really key, and it's really key for reasons I don't need to tell you. But we know we in the NHS, but most developed health systems have workforce, and radiology is part of that. This actually is a two-edged sword in a way. So the reason companies are looking to develop is to support the workforce that give you the tools, but also, the workforce issues can be a barrier. There isn't the workforce, there isn't the headroom within departments to necessarily take on new innovations. And anything from the information governance teams through to the IT teams, as well as the commissioning themselves, are all under pressure. So how can we bring innovation into the market against that sort of backdrop? And the government is trying to do a lot to really encourage AI generally, not just in medical. And UK consistently ranks one of the highest countries in the world for AI technology generally. Quite often put third. This particular one, which is the latest data I've seen, puts us fourth behind Singapore. I would say there's a couple of key things to point out here. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're 4. There's quite a gap between 1 and 2 and the rest, all the others. The investment that both US and China putting into AI is significant. Where we particularly thrive is sort of on our academic background and our skills and our culture, that side of things. We're less good really at deployment in the whole infrastructure. But we really think there's a great opportunity, and we're really in the early days of development and deployment and adoption of these technologies. So a bit of marketing 101, down the bottom, there's how do you get it from the innovators into the mass market? What are those key things that need to be put in place? Because if we can do that, there is a huge market awaiting us. Now, it all sorts of figures out there actually how big the market's going to be. This is kind of a medium figure that I kind of pulled out. But everyone basically agrees it's growing 30%, sort of a compound annual growth rate. It's a really fascinating market. So to get into some of the details, what is really needed to really convert AI into business as usual? These are just a few of them, and people have already spoken about some of these. I'd like to pick up on some of those and really reiterate those. Streamlined information governance. Jonathan there said, no two trusts are the same. It's a complete nightmare for quite frankly, as much as it is a nightmare for you as well. So we're certainly having discussions with NHS England about what can be done to streamline the whole approach. It's difficult because the trusts are there, they have their own legal requirements to do these processes. But there must be ways to streamline this, whether it's go to extremes and take a HIPAA approach, as the US, or just better use of standardized templates. So that's a key one. Sort of the whole DPIA, DTAC, and these sorts of areas are really streamlining those. Validation right now, everything's having to be revalidated at every site because, again, we've heard it. The data extractions are different, the workflows are different, etc. So everything has to be revalidated, which is again a huge overhead, both for industry and for clinicians trying to do this work. So a way to look at how can we improve this, how do we use a sort of deployment engines to really try and smooth out that whole process. Funding, of course, I'll come on to that in a bit more detail. An ethical framework, as we just heard the patient point of view, is really critical. The public, I'm actually, while some of this is kind of borderline 50-50, I'm actually quite encouraged by the enthusiasm of the public. When you think about, we're talking about their health, intimate details, etc. 40 to 50% of people think, I would trust AI. For where we are in the life cycle, it's not too bad, I don't think. But we really want to try and push those numbers up. And really try and improve on that. And it is against a backdrop of everything we hear about AI generally, that anything from it's going to make us all unemployed over here, or is it going to make us all employed? Yes, whichever way you look at it. To also the whole issues that were getting raised, Royal Free or clear data. We also spoke about the opt-out earlier. That has been really rock solid, actually, at just over 5% for the last 3-4 years, something like that. Until you go back to end of November, begin December. It doesn't say this in data, but I'm pretty sure that's when the FDP was, talked about, announced, etc. And it spiked. The number of opt-outs has spiked. So we've got to think this isn't just about what we're doing in AI radiology. What is the bigger context we're looking at, and how do we really build the trust of patients and the public? And they want to see the human in the loop. They want the transparency. They want that they can actually deliver it for them. And for industry, this is really important because, quite frankly, the public trusts you. Every survey you look at, doctors, nurses, right up there at the top. Industry, towards the bottom. We're above journalists, we're above politicians, they're the most below. But we're in the bottom rung, should say. So it's really incumbent on us to really display that we are developing these products in an ethical, transparent manner. I'll perhaps skip over this if you know about it. I want to go on to funding. There's a stack of money being thrown at AI. Here's just a few examples. Some of the problems, however, with the way this is being funded is it is very piecemeal, very ad hoc, and very often at very short notice. Striking some chords here, which we don't feel is the best way to make use of money. We just end up throwing it at what you're already doing, which is probably good stuff, but you might pay to use that money differently. So certainly what we're talking to government about is how this can be made sustainable. Because most non-recurrent funding is also the big thing. So you're not investing in people because you haven't got the money there. So it's really important, not just about headlines and hundreds of millions of pounds. It's about having the right sort of funding. So that is again, a key thing that we're talking to government about, how that can be enabled. One important thing for industry is regulation. That's one of the key ways that we can show that we are developing products in the right manner. For us, there's two things going on right now. First is, where is AI regulation generally going. So just within the last week, the EU have now more or less agreed that the EU AI Act that will, haven't read all the details yet, that will almost certainly know that anything to do with health is high risk. So there will be a need for conformity assessment of products that fall within the complex of medical devices. So that's happening in Europe. President Biden, at the time of the AI summit, signed an executive order putting requirements on various bodies, including the FDA, to look in more detail at AI. The UK, we haven't gone forward with regulations yet. We have proposals with the AI Action Plan. The approach being taken there is to have a set of principles which are deployed down to sectoral regulators. So in our case, the MHRA. Very supportive of that approach, because it means with the EU route at the moment, it means you get probably, we'll wait for the detail, but it looks like we'll have conformity assessment as an AI device and conformity assessment as a medical device. Dual conformity, that's extra bureaucracy, extra cost going into the system. Whereas the UK route, and it's more, the US approach is kind of similar to what we're looking at. Means it's done once at the sectoral level. So the MHRA have put forward a program, a roadmap for AI and software as medical device. So this is all nested. So it all sits within an overarching framework of a UK CE mark. So this is the new CE mark coming out of Brexit. So it sits within that general framework, but then there's requirements for software, and again, framed inside that as then AI and machine learning. Again, it looks a really good program, very supportive of it, but it's not being funded and actioned right now. They're moving forward with AI airlock, which is I just found out just recently actually why they so normally call them a regulatory sandbox, but apparently they thought that was too playful, so that's why it's called an airlock. I only just found that out. There's nothing more with sandbox, I think. Anyway, sorry, I'm going off on one. So this is really important. How do we get our regulatory framework right? Two elements to that. What do we do as the UK, and what do we do internationally in terms of recognizing what Europe are doing and recognizing what the US and others, perhaps Japan, are doing? Because we're a small part of the global pie here. We're 2% of the medical device value globally. So to have regulation just for the UK is going to put us down the pecking order in terms of innovation coming to the market. If we can recognize a bigger trading bloc like the US, like the EU, you come in seamlessly into the UK, that is great. We still want to have our own UK CA mark, because there's an opportunity then to really nurture homegrown innovation and really push through innovation ourselves that really match the needs of the NHS, irrespective of what other jurisdictions do. But for the bulk of products, most of which are developed outside of the UK, international recognition, which is what we are really pushing hard for. Then lastly, I just want to touch on the data environment. So again, we've heard about trust research environments, secure data environments, etc. So the proposals that secure data environments are the default access route for industry, for research and development, is fine, but it's fine in principle. In practice, what we see is in data sets within these SDEs, there is limited to no ability, as far as we can see, for the SDEs to talk to each other, certainly at the moment. So you're talking of perhaps circa a few million data sets, population size. I mentioned Singapore way back. You can go to Singapore, Estonia, Denmark, and get fairly, well, better quality data sets, maybe not quite the diversity, but you can get some really good data sets at really competitive commercial terms with good access. So we've really got to look at globally, how do we maximize the data asset the NHS has? It's in its size and in its diversity. So chunking it up into these SDEs, if they can't talk to each other, doesn't really do it. Understand the principles of trying to do it at that local level. Again, it's back to building trust, etc., with local populations. But we need to be federated to have the quality quantity of diversity. So that's a very brief run through. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll happily take questions about it later.